I'm Liyana Hassanel and Nightline begins now. The top stories. MACC tracking down Jana Wibawa scandal key mastermind. And high cost of hiring Indonesian domestic workers to be resolved this month. Good morning. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, is tracking down a man known as Datuk Roy, who is believed to be the key mastermind in the Jana Wibawa corruption scandal. According to a source, the man in his 50s had previously been charged in court and sentenced to prison on a corruption offence. Prior to this, the MACC detained one of its own officers and 3 other individuals, including a woman, on Thursday for alleged soliciting and taking bribes amounting to 400,000 ringgit to halt an investigation into the Jana Wibawa case. The woman, however, was released on MACC bail, while the 3 other suspects have been remanded until Monday. The arrest was confirmed by MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki when contacted on Sunday. He also stressed that the Commission will not compromise with any of its officers if they are involved in any illegal activities. In the meantime, former Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has announced that he will stay on as Bersatu President, despite facing multiple criminal charges. He said he had offered to resign after being charged with corruption and money laundering on Friday. However, delegates at the Bersatu Annual General Assembly, as well as the party's Supreme Council, MPT, had unanimously agreed to retain him.
Majlis Pimpinan Tertinggi Bersatu sebagaimana yang telah dimaklumkan menolak tawaran saya untuk meletak jawatan. Dan pagi ini perwakilan pada hari ini telah juga meluluskan usul menolak peletakan jawatan Presiden. Dan atas kehendak Perhimpunan Agung Tahunan, saya meneruskan tugas saya sebagai Presiden.
During his speech at the Bersatu AGM in Kuala Lumpur on Sunday, Tan Sri Muhyiddin also expressed his appreciation to all delegates who continue to support his leadership. The Perikatan Nasional chairman also challenged the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, to investigate PKR and UMNO's source of political funds, stating that this was the first time in history that a president of a political party has been charged in court for receiving political contributions for his party. The decision on the matter was reached after a special motion put forward by Bersatu Deputy President Datuk Sri Ahmad Faizal Azumu. Previously, Tan Sri Muhyiddin claimed trial in the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court to 4 charges of abuse of power amounting to 232.5 million ringgit and 2 counts of money laundering involving 195 million ringgit. On Monday, he is expected to face another charge at the Shah Alam Sessions Court in relation to funds in the Bersatu party account. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim on Sunday congratulated Li Qiang, who was appointed as China's 8th Premier. The Prime Minister said he looked forward to working closely with China's leadership to explore new areas of cooperation, as both countries commemorate the 10th anniversary of the Malaysia-China Comprehensive Strategic Partnership this year. He stressed that Malaysia remains committed towards strengthening the long-standing historical ties with China. 63-year-old Li was endorsed as Chinese Premier Saturday morning upon nomination by President Xi Jinping. The Human Resources Ministry is confident that the high cost of hiring Indonesian domestic workers, PDI, would be resolved this month. Its Minister V. Sivakumar said there is a good chance that a decision would be reached on the matter after several negotiation sessions have been conducted by the government with Indonesia.
Memang kita dalam usaha untuk mengurangkan daripada 15,000 kepada tahap yang lebih rendah. Okey, dan working group, joint working group di antara Malaysia dan Indonesia juga telah mengadakan perbincangan selama 2 hari pada bulan Februari, hujung bulan Februari di Indonesia, di Yogyakarta, Indonesia.
Sivakumar said this to reporters after the announcement ceremony of the National Human Capital Conference and Exhibition NHCCE 2023 Northern Region at the Setia Spice Convention Centre in Pulau Pinang on Sunday. He also said that the Republic's Manpower Minister, Ida Fauzia, was scheduled to visit Malaysia in the middle of March to further discuss efforts to resolve the issue. He added that most of the costs originate from the source country due to the multi-level recruitment process, involving the domestic worker who would be sent to several agencies before being sent to Malaysia. On Saturday, Indonesian ambassador to Malaysia, Hermono, reportedly said that the cost of hiring Indonesian mates could drop as low as 8,000 ringgit per person, depending on negotiations between recruitment agencies from both countries. As of January 22nd, 399,827 Indonesians are working in Malaysia in the manufacturing, construction, plantation, service, agriculture, foreign domestic workers, mining and quarrying sectors. Of that number, 63,323 work as domestic workers, with Indonesians representing the most significant number in the domestic sector in this country. The top three positions for the UMNO Youth, Wanita and Putri wings in the party polls have essentially been secured, although votes from 8 divisions have yet to be tallied. UMNO Elections Committee Chairman Tan Sri Syahril Samad said only the result of the battle between Muhammad Hairi Mat Shah and his challenger Iqmal Hazlan Iqmal Hisham for the Youth Wing's Deputy Chief post is still undetermined, as there is only a 5-vote difference between the two candidates.
Hanya di peringkat naib ketua pemuda UMNO Malaysia, kelihatan bahawa adanya persaingan yang agak dekat, ya. Tetapi yang tinggal 8 bahagian. Jadi kita tak tahu bagaimana 8 tu dia pergi ke mana. Jadi kita tak boleh mengesahkan.
Tan Sri Syahril said this in a media conference to give updates on the UMNO party polls on Sunday. Based on the current tally, Dr. Muhammad Akmal Saleh has captured the UMNO Youth Chief post, while Parit Sulung Member of Parliament Datuk Seri Nuraini Ahmad secured the Wanita Chief post for another term. Datuk Nurul Amal Muhammad Fauzi also won a 6-cornered fight to secure the Putri UMNO Chief post. Tan Sri Syahril also said that the committee has set Tuesday as the deadline for UMNO members to submit objections over the divisional level leadership post. The UMNO polls will end on March 18th with the Vice Presidential, Supreme Council and Divisional Committee elections.
The government will expedite post-flood recovery efforts at the 17 affected schools in Johor. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said this is to ensure students in the state can attend classes as usual in a more conducive environment for the 2023 to 2024 academic session, which is scheduled to begin on March 19th and 20th.
Koordinasi akan dilakukan tentunya dengan NADMA, dengan APA, APM dan beberapa agensi lain bersama-sama dengan jawatankuasa bencana di peringkat negeri dan daerah. Ini akan dilakukan dengan sesegera yang mungkin. Yang penting pelajar-pelajar dan murid-murid boleh terus belajar.
Datuk Sri Zahid, who is also the chairman of the Central Disaster Management Committee, spoke to the media after visiting the Southeast Johor Development Board Kejora headquarters in Bandar Penawar, Johor on Sunday. Also present were Johor Menteri Besar Datuk On Hafiz Ghazi and State Secretary Tan Sri Azmi Rohani. In relation to the stagnant flood water in Batu Pahat, Datuk Sri Zahid, who is also the Rural and Regional Development Minister, stated that the work of pumping water out of the flood-affected areas has already started. He added that Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has also announced an immediate approval of 50 million ringgit allocation for the state's flood-related needs. The Pulau Pinang South Islands PSI project will only be approved if it meets the stringent requirements of the Environmental Impact Assessment Report, EIA. Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad said the decision by the Department of Environment, DOE, which rejected the project's EIA report previously, was proof that the project does not get special treatment, although it has the backing of the state government. Nik Nazmi said that the PSI project has undergone a comprehensive process in terms of the EIA report, taking into account that the first report was approved on June 25, 2019, before an appeal was lodged and it was cancelled, which led to a new EIA presented on April 29th last year.
If it's so loose, kita takkan tengok Penang South Island ni dah 3-4 kali revise. So what I'm saying is that the process is quite thorough, but even then, it's subject kepada penggerak projek, whether to jalankan projek itu atau tidak. But macam saya bangkitkan di dalam parlimen baru-baru ini, we are looking at improving the EIA process so that it is much more effective lah.
Nik Nazmi told this to reporters after officiating the Our Nature Carnival at the Batu Kawan Stadium on Sunday. He added that the latest EIA report will be scrutinized by the DOE in the next few months before a final say is given on whether the project involving the development of 3 artificial islands in the waters of Permatang Damar Laut will be approved or not. Any matters arising would also be presented to the project movers and the Pulau Pinang State Economic Planning Division. Menu Rahmah was introduced to provide affordable meals for the poor and those in the low-income group. While the initiative is lauded as a noble effort to help those who are struggling with the rising cost of living, many quotas feel that it should be expanded and made more sustainable. Our reporter Alif Yunus has the story.
It's a start. It's never enough. Untuk tackle cost of living ni, dia ada banyak sangat parameters and factors, variables. But it's better than nothing.
Not enough lah. Because actually banyak yang ada yang kekurangan untuk orang yang bawahan ni, untuk orang survive makanan orang, untuk transportation, and then untuk student. Banyak actually student lah.
Most of students yang come from lower income families, they actually go to places like yang benefit from Menu Rahmah, and they got more food and they have like better living qualities lah, like food and everything, macam drinks pun murah.
According to Kuala Lumpur National Consumer Action Council, MTPN President Abdul Malik Jamaran, the Menu Rahmah initiative is viewed as a positive step towards helping Malaysians cope with the rising cost of living. However, he said that there is a need for the government to expand the program to other sectors, particularly in education and public transportation.
I believe is seasonal goods, example like school uniforms and stationery and fees. This will be good to help the B40 categories. Education will be one of the important sector to implement this kind of Rahmah program, and transportation, because you know that the consumer is actually using all this public transport, that will be also help the consumer to have a reduce of their cost of living by having this transportation's implementation. And of course daily consume of material also can consider one of the focus. If the government can look into that, will be very much appreciated and will benefit consumer overall.
Malik pointed out, other than food items, a large number of Malaysians also find expenses relating to education and public transportation as a huge financial burden. Tuition fees, along with other educational costs, can be prohibitively expensive for most families, and the same goes for public transportation, particularly in urban areas. There is also the question of how the Rahmah initiative can be sustained for the benefit of the people in the long term. For this, UCSI University Assistant Professor in Finance, Dr. Liu Chi-Yong, suggested cost sharing between large corporations, non-governmental organizations, NGOs and the government as one way to keep the program going for a longer period.
I think that a cost-sharing practice will be beneficial to all the so-called the companies involved in the supply chain that participate in this Menu Rahmah initiative, and not just the food providers. Because if you have one company, having to bear higher costs, I think that will cause possible problems in the future. So you need to ensure that these Manu Rahmah is seen to be something equitable for all the companies that participate in it within the supply chain. So that will be something that will attract more and more companies to participate in this initiative and make it more sustainable and vibrant.
He added by providing the necessary resources towards the initiative, the companies and NGOs can benefit by making it part of their corporate social responsibility and contribute positively to society.
The Rahmah initiative has the potential to make a positive impact on the life of many people, and efforts should be made to address the public concern so that vulnerable groups struggling with the rising cost of living will continue having access to affordable goods and services while ensuring its quality is not compromised. Alif Yunus, TV3.
Nearly 200,000 seek treatment for air pollution-related diseases. This and more from the Foreign Front when we come back. Nearly 200,000 people in Thailand have been admitted to hospital due to air pollution this week as Bangkok, as well as other parts of the country, continue to be shrouded in harmful haze.
Around midday, the popular tourist destination was ranked the third most polluted city in the world by monitoring firm RQ Air. The Public Health Ministry said 50 districts in Bangkok on Wednesday recorded unsafe levels of the most dangerous PM 2.5 particles, so tiny they can enter the bloodstream, while on Thursday they remained well above World Health Organization guidelines. The situation was worse in the northern city of Chiang Mai, in an agricultural region where farmers burn crop stubble at this time of year. More than 1.3 million people have fallen sick in the kingdom since the start of the year as a result of air pollution, with nearly 200,000 admitted to the hospital this week alone.
More than 100 people have been arrested in Iran in connection with the serial poisoning of schoolgirls, an ongoing crisis that sent ripples of shock across the country and sparked protests from concerned parents. The government claimed that the people had been identified, arrested, and investigated in several cities, including the capital, Tehran. In a statement made by Iran's Interior Ministry, a number of these people had hostile motives as they tried to create fear and horror among locals by shutting down schools, creating pessimism towards the Iranian government. The statement also pointed at possible links to an Albania-based exiled Iranian opposition group, People's Mujahedin of Iran, that Tehran considers a terrorist organization. In the wave of cases since late November, at least 1,200 schoolgirls have been admitted to hospitals suffering fainting, nausea, shortness of breath. The French Senate has approved President Emmanuel Macron's unpopular pension reform plan, as hundreds of thousands of protesters rallied in cities across the country to oppose the changes. Senators voted late on Saturday to adopt the reforms by 195 votes to 112, bringing the package, whose key measure is raising the retirement age by 2 years to 64, closer to becoming law. As the Senate has adopted the bill, it will be reviewed by a joint committee of lower and upper house lawmakers. If the committee agrees on a text, a final vote in both chambers is likely to take place on Thursday. But the outcome of that still appears to be uncertain in the lower chamber, the National Assembly, where Macron's party needs allies' votes for a majority. The protests and rolling strikes that have affected refineries, public transport and garbage collections aimed to pressure the government to withdraw the pension plan, which it said is essential to ensure the pension system does not run out of money.
A la altura de lo que es Jesús.
The 2023 Super League. 3 matches were played on Sunday night. Penang FC suffered another defeat, this time 1-2 to Selangor FC, while Sri Pahang were held to a 1-1 by Sabah FC. In Ipoh, Perak FC claimed their first win of the season as they beat Kuching City FC 2-0. The Boss scorers took the lead after 41 minutes through Sonung Seo. The South Korean put the result beyond doubt midway through the second half, sealing the much-needed 2-0 win. Sports tennis, the 2023 BNP Paribas Open. Defending champion Taylor Fritz came back from a set down to win a battle of 2 of the brightest stars in American tennis. Beginning his title defense in Indian Wells, the world number 5 was challenged by the fast-rising Ben Shelton, but ultimately used his big match experience to navigate through a 4-6, 6-4, 6-3 victory. Fritz will be up against Sebastian Baez in the next round. Joining Fritz was Andy Murray, who reached the third round with a 6-4, 6-3 win against Moldovan Radu Albar. The former number one took 1 hour and 42 minutes to defeat Albot in his first straight sets victory of the year. Mari will next face another Briton in Jack Draper, who continued to make his mark in the tournament. Earlier, Carlos Alcaraz returned to the court after nearly 2 full weeks out of action, with Thanasi Kokkinakis awaited for him. Alcaraz faced no trouble, claiming a 6-3, 6-3 victory. The world number 2 will face Talon Griekspoor of the Netherlands in the next round. After the short break, lorry crash leaves 2 burnt to death. News. 2 people were burnt to death after the pickup truck they were travelling in burst into flames after it crashed into a container lorry near Temerloh, Pahang early on Sunday morning. State Fire and Rescue Department Public Relations Officer Zulfadli Zakaria said the Mentakap Fire Station was alerted about the accident on the East Coast Expressway Phase 1 or LPT-1 at 5:24 a.m. A team of firemen rushed to the scene and found 2 people trapped inside a Ford Ranger upon arrival. However, both victims died on the spot, while the container lorry driver escaped unhurt. It was believed that the accident occurred when the pickup truck suddenly went out of control and hit the rear of the container lorry. District Police Chief ACP Muhammad Azhar Muhammad Yusuf said the identities of the victims, both aged 24, have yet to be ascertained, and their bodies have been taken to Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Hospital for post-mortem. The cause of the accident is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. In Sabah, a 3-year-old boy from the Palau tribe was believed to have been murdered after he was found dead in Kampung Panji, Lahad Datu on Saturday, with injuries to his head, both hands and left leg. Deputy District Police Chief Superintendent Azmir Abdul Razak said the victim's body was found by his mother after 3 hours of searching for the child who had gone out to play. In a statement on Sunday, he said police rushed to the scene after they were alerted by the public and found the victim with his hands tied, while his head was stuck between 2 trees. The victim was believed to have been injured with a sharp object. A foreign man in his 30s, who was the last person seen with the victim, was arrested to assist in the investigation. The suspect also tested positive for drugs and believed to be mentally unstable. Police also detained the victim's parents, who are also foreigners. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for murder. And that concludes Nightline this time around. As we wrap up, let's take a look at the annual Chinge Parade in Pulau Pinang. Touted as among biggest street processions within the UNESCO World Heritage Site, a total of 37 groups participated in the procession through the city. With that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching and have a great week ahead.